Hey, welcome to the Create a Life That Is Beautiful podcast. I'm your host, Leticia Ringe, and this is the space to be for high vibe people looking to create a beautiful life and business. Let's do this. Hello, my beautiful friends. Welcome back to the podcast. I hope wherever you're tuning into from today that you are having a beautiful day. Thank you so much for being here with me as always. And today I'm super excited because we're going to dive into a topic that I'm sure all of you are currently feeling and experiencing right now. But before I let you know what that topic is, I also want to remind you that if you have not yet signed up for my 5-day Create a Business You Love training and you'd love to learn how to get clarity on what sort of business you want to know what the best offer is that you can provide your community, you'd love to learn about heart-centered marketing and selling and the steps that you need to take to make sure you're also bringing in money for your beautiful gifts that you're sharing with the world. And finally, my key steps or ingredients, I like to call them, for creating a business that truly lights you up and that you really feel you love being in. If you'd love to join me on that training, we have already started, but you can still register and there will be limited time replays. So head to leticiaringe.com/trainings to register. Now, everybody, I spent yesterday in a conservatory here in Phnom Penh in Cambodia. It's for wildlife over here, and I got to be up close and personal with an elephant. Her name is Lucky. She's been raised by humans since she was about 1 year old. She's the most beautiful thing ever, and I got to literally put watermelon into her mouth and into her trunk and pat her, and she was the most beautiful animal ever. And it was so incredible because what they do over at the Wildlife Alliance here is that they rescue animals from the wildlife who are either hurt or dying, they've had hunters or poachers after them, or they've had an injury, and so they help them to heal and then they release them back into the wildlife if that's possible for them to still survive. In some cases they're not, and so they have this huge land that is a conservation where they give them like so much more space than they'd get anywhere else out of the wild. And it was just so incredible to be able to look into the eyes of this elephant, and there's so much emotion there. And so it was just absolutely incredible. Like, just to be able to walk around with this elephant who is completely safe to be around and so loving, just loves the human attention, and seeing her looking so happy and so well cared for. And it was just so incredible. We also got to see otters and tigers and leopards and all these different kinds of animals, which in their case, some of them, it was a little bit more sadder that their story that they were there because they have to be there, right? They're not protected, and there's a lot of issues over here in Cambodia with wildlife, but it was so wonderful to be in a space where the people looking after them are truly treating them so well and caring for them, and being able to just be up close and personal with these beautiful animals. It was so amazing. I even had like little monkeys like walking all over me, which is kind of creepy normally, but they have like a little primary school, a little secondary school, and like a little university for animals that come in as babies, and then they've got to go through, certain procedures to make sure that they're quarantined, to make sure that they can go into what will be an eventual release back into the wild. So I just wanted to share that with you all because I think spending time with animals for me really brings me back down to earth. And as an entrepreneur, as a woman, as a human who spent a lot of her life online, I find that being out in nature and especially being out with animals is my best remedy for bringing me back to my center and being able to start my week feeling so renewed and rejuvenated and in alignment. So I just wanted to share that all with you. And if you ever do get a chance to come to Cambodia, I highly recommend the Wildlife Alliance over here. It was a wonderful tour that we did. So Yes, that is what I wanted to share with you all today. And now I want to introduce our topic of today. This is a really important topic at this time of year. And as I mentioned in the beginning, you're probably feeling into this right now. And what I'm talking about is, at this time of year, we've just set all of our goals or our resolutions or our intentions, our vision, our plan, whatever you like to do. We've just set all of these beautiful, expansive dreams for ourselves. And they feel really exciting, and we're so excited to, make them happen, to create them. And then what happens is inevitably a couple of days, maybe even a couple of hours, a week, a couple of weeks goes past, and the fear sets in and we start to have a little bit of a panic. And so what a lot of people do is we decide, look, it's the goals problem, or it's the vision or the plan or the intention, and I don't want to feel out of alignment anymore. So the best thing that I can do is ditch the goal, ditch the vision, ditch the plan, and then I'll feel better, right? I'll feel a sense of relief. I'll feel back into my alignment. And so why do we do this? Why do we ditch the goals? Well, as I mentioned, it's because of fear. And if you go back to episode 81, which is the previous episode, you'll hear me talk a lot about how our minds work, right? And why we have this fear, this fight or flight response. Right here, we're talking about a flight response. And so it's this very uncomfortable feeling that we will be inevitably feeling within our bodies. It's discomfort. And what I want to share with you all is that this is such a totally normal place to be. What happens whenever we're moving out of our comfort zone is that we start to expand, right? We start to grow. We step into the unknown. We step out of our current reality and that comfort into something new. And to our mind, that is very, very scary. So we will have the initial hype and excitement that takes over the reality of the comfort zone we're stepping out of, but then inevitably we will move into discomfort because the excitement wears off, that initial little hit we get, and then the mind takes over. It's like the mind gets up to speed with what's happening, and it's like, hang on a minute, you're trying to go somewhere that you haven't been before. That is scary. So I'm going to elicit this fear response, which is going to come in the form, you'll experience it in the form of fight or flight. Women, we also experience this in the form of tend or befriend. And you're going to want to get out of that feeling of discomfort because we are so primed to avoid feeling uncomfortable. And so the most obvious solution that will give us this immediate sense of gratification, which is simple relief in the moment, will be to ditch the goal, to ditch the plan, the vision, whatever else it is you've created at the start of the year. And of course, this goes whenever we've set a goal in our life. So it doesn't need to be the start of the year, but I feel that so many of us are setting goals, setting resolutions. And so collectively, there's a lot of this energy out there and we're all feeding into that. So I just want you to know that it's totally normal to feel uncomfortable. And actually, it's a really good thing because it's showing you that you're stepping out of your comfort zone and that you're stepping into a new growth, a new expansion for yourself. And that's where we all want to be, right? We want to be growing and evolving. That's why you set the goal in the first place. So rather than ditching the goal, I want to show you a much better solution in today's episode. First of all, I just want to explain the difference between what I call mental alignment and versus emotional alignment. So many of us will feel out of alignment at this point. We've set a goal, the discomfort set in, and now we think that the goal itself isn't in alignment with where we want to go. Now, what is happening here is not that the goal is no longer in alignment. What's happening here is that your thoughts are not in alignment with the goal. Your old way of thinking, those old subconscious programs have now simply been pulled on and you're operating from that old program of fear. And let's go back to our comfort zone. It's scary out here. Just go back to what you know. It's going to be safer there. And so to be in alignment in this case, ditching the goal is not what will create that mental alignment. What would be a better alternative is to start to look at the thoughts you're thinking and choose more supportive thoughts. So rather than, I don't want to do this anymore, this goal sucks, for instance, you can have a look at those thoughts and ask yourself, well, what would actually be more supportive and more truthful here? You know, that this goal is something that I'm working towards, and right now I'm feeling uncomfortable, and that is totally okay. Perhaps that will give you some relief and will create that mental alignment that you're seeking. Now, what people confuse this with is what I call emotional alignment. So most of us on a day-to-day basis, we know that we want to feel good, right? We want to avoid feeling pain. We want to avoid feeling suffering. And so we want to experience certain emotions. And what we do is we go about our day and we look for things that will help us to support that alignment, support those emotions, and then avoid those things that are causing us to feel negative. Now, this is a great approach in many respects, but it's a very difficult, and it doesn't necessarily work in the best way possible and in the way it's intended after we've just set a big goal or created a vision, or where this fear response is actually simply coming from our mind. And this is where people find the difficulty. They think, is this coming from my inner voice, my intuition, or is this coming from my mind? A really great rule of thumb is if you've just set something that you really, really wanted to do and it came from a place of inspiration, and you've just set a big goal or felt into your big vision, and if immediately after or in the weeks after you suddenly feel like you want to throw it all in, that is mental fear, right? It's not coming from your inner voice, it's coming from your mind. Your mind has just had enough time to catch up to speed with the fact that you're stepping into the unknown. And so rather than calling it out of alignment, what you want to see is that actually here I need to use my thoughts to help myself create this mental alignment again. And simply knowing that we're not ever always going to feel great, right? Like, it's okay to feel uncomfortable. And in fact, feeling that discomfort is a great sign that you're on the right path, right? Nothing that you really, really care about is going to come without experiencing discomfort along the way. And this is so interesting because as we create confidence, as we become more confident at something, it only happens through us actually doing it. And so initially there will always be a period where it feels very, very uncomfortable. So the best thing we can do is become really good friends with discomfort and learn how to create that mental alignment with it. And one of a really, really powerful tip I'll just give you here is to realize that any emotion, including discomfort or something we label as negative, is simply a physical sensation in our bodies. So if you can stop in that moment when you're feeling uncomfortable and you can say, okay, what are the physical sensations I'm feeling right now? And then you sit down and you just label them, jot them all down. You know, my arm feels hot, my heart is beating fast, I've got a lump in my throat. And you sit there and you just label them, and then you give yourself space to just feel that experience of the emotion. You will create space for new thoughts to come in. And so with that space, you can then ask yourself, well, what was I just thinking that has been creating this feeling of discomfort? And then what would be more supportive? How do I want to feel here? And maybe feeling amazing is too much of a stretch right now. So it's just, I want to feel that relief, the relief that I'm seeking from ditching the goal. And instead, I'm going to feel that relief from my thinking. And that comes in the form with everything's okay here. I hear you, fear. It's okay. Thank you for showing me that I'm stepping into the unknown, that I'm growing and I'm expanding. I'm so grateful for you, my body, letting me know this, my mind letting me know this. See, just immediately as you say these words to yourself, which are our thoughts, you immediately create a feeling of relief. So that might be why you've noticed over on Instagram, I've been showing up quite a bit lately, and I've also been sending out more emails. I've been more online because I want to give you all more support at this time. And that's because I truly know how this feels. My mind is doing this as well, right? And it does it every single time. And remember, this year, my goal is to quadruple my income again. That's one of my goals. And so, of course, my mind then goes, I can't do that. It's not possible, and all of these things. But I have the tools to manage that discomfort, and I know that I'm in the right place. So I just allow myself to sit with that. And saying things like everything is going to be okay is a really beautiful solution to that discomfort. And so that's why you'll see me popping up online saying everything's going to be okay, everyone. It's okay. Like, just remind yourself that really there's nothing wrong here. All it is that you have allowed yourself to expand your mind and what's possible for you, and your mind is triggering a fear response, which is exactly where you want to be. So today's concept that I want to share with you, which is a much better solution than ditching the goal, is what I call the balancing act. So I'm going to take you through the two parts of this balancing act. The first part is the importance and power of accepting where you are right now. And the second part of this balancing act is remaining open to where you're going. So I'm going to take you through these two parts, and this is going to help you create a better solution for yourself than ditching the goal itself. And I'm going to give some practical examples for you as well. All right, so the first part is about accepting where you are now. And when I say this, I mean accepting where you are right now, as in this very moment. Accepting everything about your current situation. Accepting what is. And so when we look at this in terms of our life as a whole, that might mean right now in this moment, I feel this way. I feel uncomfortable. Right now in this moment, I'm earning X amount in my life or X amount in my business. Right now, I have these people in my life. Right now, my body feels X. Right now, I'm suffering with this health condition. Right now, I live in this home. Right now, I am dealing with this issue. Whatever it is, coming to a place of complete acceptance with where you are right now is all about accepting what is. And the reason that we want to do this is it's only when you truly come to a place of acceptance with where you are right now in this moment that you allow yourself to step into abundance. So what you want to do is appreciate everything you have and are experiencing right now. And when we think about this in business, this is accepting all of the clients that we're working with right now, the money that we have coming through, even if it's $0 right now. It's accepting the way that you feel in your business right now today. It's accepting where you feel you are on the journey. It's accepting every single thing about where you are right now. And so appreciation is a beautiful way to do that. I appreciate that I have this opportunity to have a business. I appreciate that I have the inspiration to start a business. I appreciate that I'm working with my first client. I appreciate that I've just brought in my first $1,000. I appreciate that I have now brought in to date $50,000. I appreciate that I now have a community of more than 1,000 people. I appreciate that I have email subscribers who love to hear from me of more than 200 subscribers. Whatever it is, you want to appreciate it. And so once we appreciate, we allow ourselves to step into abundance rather than into scarcity. Now, what happens when we set a goal is that we suddenly are so focused on the goal that we look at where we are right now and we either avoid and don't want to acknowledge where we are right now, or we really, really wish we were further along. And so we use the goal to beat ourselves up. We use it to be like, you're less than because you're not at this goal. We're so attached to the goal and it being reflective of our worth, rather than using it for the purpose of the goal, which is simply to expand our mindset. We'll talk more about that in a moment. So rather than using the goal to beat yourself up, what I recommend doing is just throwing the goal out of the window for a moment in your mind and instead bringing yourself to a place of appreciation for exactly where you are right now, accepting fully in this moment where you are right now. And if you can go a step further and really love on where you are right now and celebrate where you are right now, that is even better. Now, this removes resistance to what you're calling in, because when we're focused on what we don't have, or we're looking at the goal and using it to beat ourselves up, that's creating the resistance, which is what you're experiencing right now if you're feeling that discomfort. And so rather than seeing the possibilities around you to support you in moving towards where you want to go, you're simply focused on fighting where you are right now. And we don't want to use all of our energy for that. Now, I remember so clearly the moment that I truly learned this lesson. It was in 2016. I was working in a job I didn't love over in London. I had left my legal career, my lawyer career behind, and I'd moved into a consultant role, which was still within the legal industry. But it was in a job that I didn't love. And so I was really beating up on myself for like a year about, well, how could I get myself in this situation again? What was I thinking? This was meant to be like a step in the right direction. And it actually was a step in the right direction. I just didn't realize it at that stage. But in this one moment, I was walking along. I remember where I was. I was walking onto to my lunch break. I was walking down this laneway in London. And I had this moment of clarity where I realized, I am in the perfect place to move forward on my vision right now. Like where I am right now is the perfect place for me to be. And that was so profound because up until then, I had been constantly and consistently fighting against where I was, telling myself I shouldn't be here. But I realized, but this is where I am. And it doesn't matter where any of us are. I believe that we can create whatever we want. And so I realized, so actually where I am right now is the perfect place to be because it's where I am. And every single decision I've made to get myself to this moment right now is absolutely perfect too. And so rather than fighting against my past and fighting against where I was in that moment, I was able to release the resistance, and that allowed me to step into abundance and then open up to the possibilities of how I could move from where I am right now, point A, to where I wanted to be, point B. This is, if you just do this step in and of itself alone, this will open up so much abundance for you, my beautiful friends. Now, I want to give you another example. So I had a client and she is focused on making more money in her business and doing it in the most aligned way possible. She is amazing. She's a heart-centered business owner. She supports other heart-centered people in business. So incredible. Now, she was focused on where she wanted to go, point A to point B, in terms of her finances. And in our session, she was showing up and she was being very disheartened with herself, right? She really wished she was achieving more financial results. And so one of the exercises I had her do was to go back and look at all of the money she had brought in and received to date in her business. And it was so incredible because she actually hadn't done that. She'd been focusing on all of the things she hadn't had and focusing on all of the things, she wanted that she didn't have yet. And so she was in the energy of lack, right? And was really showing up, really believing that she hadn't done a great job and that she wasn't able to even bring in more of this money because she couldn't see the abundance she already had. And what was amazing is when she looked at that and she brought the number to me, it was actually such a significant number, and it was her first year in business. And I said to her, that is so incredible. Do you know how many people would love to be earning that amount of money right now? It's actually so incredible that you've done this. You've had a complete career transition and you've brought this in. And so then she was able to start to come to a place of acceptance with what she had brought in. Like I said, you don't need to bring in anything else, right? if this was all you brought in this entire year, that would be incredible. And then from that place, she was then able to move to a place of love and celebration of what she had already created. And that is what then allowed her to open up to see new possibilities of how she could create even more abundance in her life and in her business. And suddenly she wasn't resisting herself, and she was able to show up in the way that she wanted. This is the same story with what happened with me in my situation when I was fighting against the job I was in. Very quickly after that, actually within the next 6 months, I had left my job and I had started my business, and I was creating a business that I love. And this was the crucial step, accepting where you are right now. So I ask you, whether it's business or whether it's life that you have just set a goal, you've got a vision for, please allow yourself to come to a place of acceptance with exactly where you are right now. And sometimes that requires bringing the awareness to where you are right now, like having a look if it's in terms of money, which is just a really easy example for us all. Write down what money you've got coming in, write down what your assets are, write down what your debt is, and love on everything you have right there. And just a little side note on debt, debt is an investment you've made in yourself. And so I know there's a lot of shame that we can hold about debt, but it doesn't actually do you any service to be ashamed about the debt. What you want to do is accept it, and then that will open up new possibilities for you to pay that debt off in a way that feels really aligned for you. So no judgment against yourself, complete acceptance. Now, the second part of this balancing act I'm talking about, so the first is bringing yourself to a place of acceptance with where you are right now, and really truly seeing and understanding the power of acceptance in putting you into a state of abundance so that you will be open to receiving more in your life. It's very important for our goals. The second part is being open to where you're going. So how can I love where I am right now and be open for where I'm going? This is a predicament that a lot of people in my community find really difficult to get their mind around. And I say their mind because their deep inner essence or their inner voice, the true you, doesn't have a problem with this balance, right? It's just our mind that does, because it's always trying to be very logical and put things into categories, and it seems like two competing ideas. This is all possible for all of us, and we really, once you get it, once you have that aha moment, you will understand it at a deep level, and it won't take any exercising of the mind to get it. You'll just get it. So if you're not getting it right now, right here, just allow yourself a little bit more time to consider it. Maybe even step away from this lesson for a while and not try to implement it, and then come back when you feel inspired to do that. So being open to where you're going is all about seeing the purpose, first and foremost, of what a goal is for. So the purpose of a goal isn't to attain the goal. It's not the outcome of the goal, right? The purpose of a goal is to expand your mindset about what is possible so that you can start to see new possibilities for growth and expansion in your life. It's also to give your mind some direction, right? To point the ship and say, you know what, we want to go in this direction. And because there's billions of bits of information around me and my brain can't process all of it, or even a very big proportion of those billions of bits of information, I want it to be noticing the opportunities that are aligned with this particular thing, which is your goal, your vision, your intention, whatever it is you like to set. And then that's it. That's the purpose of the goal, right? It's there to expand your mindset about what's possible and start seeing new possibilities. And it's there to direct your ship to take notice of those particular possibilities that align with the direction that you're heading. The other purpose of a goal is that it's there to also allow you to measure. And I really love this. And I think the financial measure is such a great example. So go back to episode 80 180 if you haven't yet listened to it, because I talk about the most important thing to focus on in order to create money in your business and in your life. And part of this is about using money as a measure to evaluate your results, right? So you can use a goal without it being a financial goal as a really beautiful measure for you as well. So what I mean here is that you might have an opportunity present itself and you think that that's aligned with where you want to go, and then you take up that opportunity and then you realize that actually that is not leading me to where I want to go. I need to actually clarify and slightly amend my goals, so because I've just gotten some information here about what it really means for me. And so it's given me this new clarity, which is so beautiful. Or you might say, actually, I've realized that this is where I want to go. And so now this is a great step forward for me. This is the right direction. And so you use the goal as a measure to assess and evaluate what is and isn't working and give you more and more information about where you're heading. So the goal itself is not fixed. It can move, right? But we don't want to move it just because our mind is scared about the fact that we're stepping outside of our comfort zone. And that's really, really important. And that's a difficult thing, my friends. I don't want to take that away from anyone who has been considering ditching the goals, because it feels very real in your body and your mind will be telling you you need to change the goal, right? That is what the mind is telling you. But you've got to see it for what it is. The mind is doing its job. It's afraid right now. You're expanding. And so it wants you to contract, and the goal seems like the best answer right now, but it's not going to provide a long-term solution, because you throw out the goal, you might stay where you are right now, and you're still going to end up wanting more. That's just how we're designed. Now, being able to be open to where you're going without being attached to where you're going is really the balancing act here. So I wanted to explain what the purpose of a goal is so that you can be in this space of being open to where you're going without being attached. So attached is when you really, really want to get to this end destination versus I'm open to going to this end destination. This is what seems like the most aligned goal I could set for myself right now. And so I'm open to going there, but I also equally really love where I am right now. And there's no rush to get where I'm going. I fully trust I'm in the energy of what I want, that it will transpire in the exact way it needs to. And I'm going to be here and ready to take action as soon as I receive that inspiration. Now, how you know you're attached to your goal is, one, if the goal is making you feel uncomfortable. So you've just set a goal and it felt really exciting, and now you're feeling really uncomfortable about it. And so you want to ditch the goal. This is what I call leaning out. Energetically, you're leaning out of the energy that you want to be in. And so this is a type of attachment, right? We do this because we think that the goal itself is what is most important rather than the journey of getting there. Now, the other way we do this is we lean in and we become very attached to the goal, and we really want to get to where we want to go right now. And there's this urgency and this clingingness and this desperation. We're so attached to what we want, and we want it all to happen right now, today. This is leaning in, and this too is creating resistance. Both of them are putting you in an energy of lack, right? Because you're not truly accepting where you are right now, and you're not truly open and trusting that what you want is happening, right? We cling on to things because we're afraid of losing them. You don't want to be in that energy. You want to be neutral, and this doesn't mean leaning out. You want to be neutral, as in, I accept where I am right now, and I love where I am right now, and I'm open for more, right? I'm open to where I'm going. I'm ready to take that inspired action as soon as I receive that inspiration. I have this goal to help me be able to see something that is aligned when it presents itself. I have this goal to help me cut through all of the other distractions out there. So here's a practical example. When it comes to my goal of quadrupling my income this year, I have set this goal, but I'm not attached to it. I have set this goal because it will allow me to start expanding my thinking. It allows me to start considering, well, if I was going to quadruple my income, how might I do that? And then that means even though I may not have the answer for how yet, when a how presents itself, I will be able to recognize it. Whereas before I had this goal, so my prior thinking, that is what created the results that I have today. And so if there was a possibility that presented itself that was like way too big for my thinking, I would have immediately dismissed it, right? I wouldn't have been primed to notice that particular opportunity. And this is what we do. We can't see what we can't see. And that's why you've got to start expanding your thinking ahead of time and being like, hey, this is something that I really want. I'm open to receiving it. There's no rush to getting there. I love where I am right now. But when the right opportunity presents itself, I will see it because I've set that intention, and then I will take that next step forward. And then I might take that next step and I might realize that actually I need to amend my goals slightly, or that actually this is the best way of me achieving what I want, and I had no idea that this is what I really wanted in the first place. So this is the purpose of a goal. This doesn't mean that I become really attached on making the money. It doesn't mean I use the goal to beat myself up every day. It means that even if I don't hit the goal, there's no problem, right? All it means is that I've used it as a way to keep expanding. So I will continue to follow my alignment. I will continue to follow my inspiration. I will still show up and serve. And all I do is use the goal to expand my mind on what's possible. And I can take it or leave it because I know the fulfilling of the goal itself is not what is going to bring me happiness. It is the journey of getting there. And not even getting there, it's just the journey itself. So being open to where you're going is also about enjoying the journey of getting there. And part of that is enjoying where you are right now. There will never be another moment like this in your life ever. So enjoy it, love it. And when your mind freaks out, remind your mind that everything will be okay. All right, my friends, so there you have it. Here is the solution to ditching your goals and finding that immediate relief through ditching your goals. Rather than doing that, find the balancing act. Accept where you are right now in this moment and allow yourself to enjoy being open to where you're going. Keep that goal, use it to help yourself expand your mindset and what's possible for you, see new possibilities as they arise, and give you that beautiful direction. Use your goal to measure, to clarify what it is you want, and enjoy, be in the energy of abundance the entire time that you're expanding and moving towards that goal, that intention, that vision. This really is the secret to the universe. All right, my friends, so I want to finally remind you that if you'd love to join me for my 5-day live training, which is currently taking place, but it's not too late to sign up. It's called Create a Business You Love. I'm taking you through how to get clarity on what kind of business you want, on the best offer you could offer your community, on heart-centered marketing and sales tips, on how to make money, and also how to create a business that truly feels so good and aligned to you and that you really love. Head to leticiaringe.com/trainings to find the details and register. And I also want to let you know that Create Your Beautiful Biz, my signature online group coaching program, will be opening up for enrollment this week. I will be back in our next episode to give you all of the details on that. And until then, if you'd love to stay tuned and join our waitlist for Create Your Beautiful Biz, head to leticiaringe.com/CYBB. All right, everybody, if you loved this episode, I would love for you to take a moment to review the podcast. Your reviews help other people just like you find it. And I'd also appreciate if you have someone in mind who you know needs to hear this episode, to share this episode with them. And then come and hang out on Instagram at Leticia Ringe. Take a screenshot of you listening to this episode right now. Share it on your stories. Tell me what you love so I can then share share that with my community and give you a little shout out. All right, everybody, I'm sending you so much love. Stay with those beautiful heart-centered goals you've set for yourself, and remember that everything is okay. Bye, my friends. Hey, if you're ready to create your very own purpose-driven business too, I invite you to check out my online program, Create Your Beautiful Biz. You'll learn how to create a business that allows you to make your difference and thrive using my signature feminine essence framework. Just head over to www.leticiaringe.com/CYBB. Let's make creating a business beautiful. I'll see you there.